Oh, there's two camping?
No, there's probably like 10 in there right now.
You can't be too careful.
Okay.
Right, good.
Okay. I don't mean to be morbid. I promise it will be a celebration of your life anyway. But please allow me to take you into your funeral. Imagine that you're a fly on the wall at your own funeral, and now please close your eyes. There you are. You've gone, and now just your nearest and dearest are talking about you. What are they saying? What are the 5 words, perhaps, that are being bandied around most frequently? And are you happy with them? Is that what you thought you stood for? I suspect they might be your values, how you lived your life, and what was most important to you will be reflected in those words. Thank you for taking that journey and thinking about what you'd want them to be, or what they are currently, and now please open your eyes. I took you there because this is something I'd been thinking about for some time. Mainly because my day of death was going to come a lot earlier than most. I thought the day of my marriage would be death. Because you see, I'm a Sikh. As a young Sikh girl, my family had the expectation of me getting married pretty soon after my studies. And therefore, I was being reared to have values of devotion, service, respect. And it's not that I wanted to throw those values away, but I also wanted to live really, 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 really quickly before that day of death and do what was important to me, which was to explore, to learn, and to really live as much as I could and not waste a single second. So those were the values that I was propelled by. And that's the reason why I chose to study politics, philosophy and economics at university. But I didn't take the opportunity to study at Oxford because Manchester were willing to fly me to Melbourne and be on a fully paid scholarship and then basically be able to study the financial Asian crisis there. But my real plan was to travel every country in between. My parents would have been very embarrassed, and so luckily only my mum knew and the rest of the family didn't. And she asked me to call home every week, which I did. And I remember one fateful day when I called home and my little 9-year-old brother picked up. Mandip, where are you? I don't think you're in Manchester because there's an echo on the line. Just give Mum the phone. No, really, where are you? Because I can just tell you're not in Manchester. There's an echo. Give Mum the phone. And then my mum comes onto the phone. Where are you? Cambodia. I mean, it didn't matter where Cambodia was. It just wasn't Manchester and it wasn't Melbourne, and this isn't what young girls do. And it's risky and it's dangerous, etc., etc. So when I came home, I was keen not to go back home. So after graduating, I joined the city, but that didn't really resonate with my values. Making rich people richer in my job wasn't helping me. And actually, even working at the UN or the EU, I wasn't able to really flourish in my values. And when I found a place that really did resonate with my values, boy, do you spark up. And so at the BBC, I was given the opportunity to report from anywhere and everywhere in the world for the World Service. And 120 countries later, I can tell you that I really do feel like I learnt, like I spent time with people, like I could tell what mattered to them. Or at least I had a sense of what it seemed, what they found valuable. And these lessons, well, let me share some examples. So in Rwanda, I saw that I was really keen to go to Rwanda because the Sikhs also suffered a form of genocide in 1984. And it was the same time that the Rwandan genocide was taking place. And in Rwanda, it was between two ethnic groups. And within 90 days, about a fifth of the population had been destroyed. How does a country overcome that? Can you overcome that? How do you live side by side after that? And when I went, firstly, people were living side by side. And secondly, they were really focused on things like clean up Kigali, the capital, or clean up the countryside. And even their physical appearance, if a child goes to school and there's a mark on their face or dirt on their face, they're told to go back home and clean up. They're not allowed to wear second-hand underwear, or they're not allowed to go anywhere without shoes on. There's this strict form of cleanliness that's actually not only in the physical appearance, but also in what people say. Overnight it became an English-speaking nation, and overnight you weren't allowed to say the words Hutu or Tutsi, those ethnic words. In order to clean up your speech, you actually have to clean up your mind. And so that value was taken on to almost clean the past. I'm not saying there aren't negative consequences of taking a value to extreme. Of course, maybe the orphans were cleaned up, maybe the criminals were cleaned up, but still there is something to be learnt from that. There is some form of inspiration. If I take you to Finland, it was amazing that in cafes, you don't actually hear music. Well, it's hard to find a cafe to hear music. And the way people live was curious. In this large country, one of the largest in the European Union, it's very sparsely populated. In a land of only 5 million people, there are 2 million saunas. They like to sit and hear their own heartbeat. They like to take their time when they're talking, rather than rush or pause. They like to think before they speak and listen to one another. Maybe that's why they were the great inventors of Nokia, the original mobile phones, or then went on to create all kinds of innovation, like Angry Birds even. And these innovations can be sourced in their fantastic education system, and actually they speak several languages. So there's something to be said about the value of silence. And then if I take you to Madagascar, where when someone dies, the whole village stops, the whole community stops, and they're keen to contribute economically, monetarily. They come with food, they come with memories, but this doesn't just happen when the person dies and there's a celebration. 5 years later, when you want to remember that person and you pick up their bones, everyone from different parts of the island come again in a famida. And actually, there's another form of insurance policy. Like if someone in your village, if your house is destroyed, the rest of the villagers won't stop until your house is rebuilt again. We experienced this personally on a family trip there, where we were trying to climb up to the Singi, this rock formation, and we didn't manage to get to the top by ourselves. It was the villagers who could see that we were struggling and offered to help. That sense of solidarity, that sense of this could be me, why don't I help you? We live on the same island. We are the same people. It teaches you something.